Greetings. This is an overview of the Tonecarver tcDelay8 plugin. It's 8 parallel delay lines. Each delay line is modulated. They can run in series with each other. You can connect them in series. You can run them in parallel. You can run them in different combinations of series and parallel, etc. And it's very much modeled or inspired by the old Yamaha UD Stomp pedal, which was Alan Holdsworth's design. And it's a fantastic piece of equipment, and this delay is kind of trying to get into that ballpark. So there's 8 delay lines. Each line you can configure it for milliseconds or tempo based. You can invert the phase on the delay line. You can, once you set your tap time, you can reduce it by a certain percentage if you want to get kind of a off times. There's feedback control, kind of standard. Sync, I'm going to get back to, but for now let's just move on. You can change the shape of the modulation rate, the shape of the modulator between a triangle and a sine, the modulation rate, and the modulation depth. And each lane has its own high pass and low pass filter, a little metering display. You can change the level of a given line, and you can decide whether or not you want that particular delay line to feed to the direct output, which kind of comes into play if you start chaining the delay lines together. You can have a series, and each segment along that series can either output to the main output or not. It can only output to its downstream component. And then you can set the pan. So let me bring this up here. So I'm running a very small sequencer, very small sequence here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's five lengths, it's a length of five different notes in the sequence, and I'm passing that through Hive, which right now is just, it's a very simple, let me shut off the delay for just a second here. I'll turn this all the way dry. So it's a very simple, just kind of like a little organ stab. So if I play, so that's without any effects at all. All the effects in Hive are turned off. Don't have any effects on. It's just the pure oscillator. Now as I bring this in, and right now there's all 8 delay lines are playing here. Let me turn this down a bit. Looks a little bit different. Let's just do like a dotted eighth. Pans are split. In this particular one, this Frippertronica kind of tried to just emulate some of the super long and cascading delays like Robert Fripp used. One of the things to show here is like for lane number 2, the input is taken from lane 1, and in lane 3 the input's taken from lane 2. So it starts at 1, goes all the way to the output, goes into lane 1, which then also goes to the output, which then it goes into lane 2, which also goes into the output, etc. So this is it's a kind of a waterfall. You can think of a waterfall of delay lines, each running at different times, different taps, different feedbacks, etc., etc. One way to manage the configuration or the parallelism, I added a graph kind of representation. So this shows that let me just pause this for a minute here. So this shows that the left input channel goes to the delay line 1. Delay line 1 feeds its output, its wet output to the output port, and it also feeds input. Its output is treated as input to lane 2, etc. down the chain. And you can configure all kinds of, let me just pop this out here. Let's do like this one, Golden Cloud. So this one, the left input goes to channel 1 or lane 1, which goes to lane 5. Lane 1 doesn't go out to the main out in this case, so it's kind of a cascaded delay, etc. These are just, I don't know, stuff I made up and played around with. You can redirect the. You can, for example, take. Let's say I wanted to set. Do some stuff with mid side. I can set a lane to delay the mid or delay the side, and you can downstream those and etc. I mean, you can basically hook it up any. You can have multiple parallel lines, or you can have a collection of cascaded lines as well. If you'll notice, when I click on one of these delay boxes like line 1, this lane shows up down here in the focus area, and these are the same controls that are on the front, so that I can reorganize things, kind of restructure the delay architecture, the cascade architecture, and also manipulate the lane at the same time to test how that's coming out. Any changes I make here are also reflected back in the detail page. If lanes that get muted, if there's no path from input all the way to the output, then the lane is really considered idle. Like in this case, these kind of dark colored lanes. There's no connection to the output. So if I make a connection, then all the delay lines along the way are now enabled or active, and you'll see that's what's represented here by these disabled controls. They're technically grayed out. I mean, you can still manipulate the knobs and things, but they're not producing any output. So it's just if you wanted to turn it off and turn it on, you can manipulate the dials and set things up, and then enable and disable delays as you go. If there's no input to the delay, then it's just strictly blank. It's just blanked. What else? There's a panic button if things just go crazy. Oh, let me show these. In the scaling area here, you can basically affect all of the controls at the same time. So all the feedbacks are scaled down to 70%, or you can crank it way up. Same with the sync rates and the depth. There's an auto gain option for the wet out. Since you have multiple delay lines operating in parallel, you could potentially have up to 8 times the the volume if all the lanes are operating at the same time. And so you just kind of swamp the dry level. So the auto gain just adjusts that down. So it's something that without the auto gain, you could physically turn down each of the input lanes, or the lane levels to do the same thing, but the auto gain does that for you. It compensates. Let me turn on the Freetronics and show you. So here's eight different delay lanes. Let me wait till they fill up. And if I disable the auto gain, it's quite a bit louder. It just keeps you from having to manually adjust this, which you can do. You can turn off auto gain and then manually adjust the levels if you prefer. Alright, so let's go back to something simple. And for now, I'm just going to turn off and just look at one lane. Now, let me go back to 2. Alright, so each lane has a modulation rate associated with it. So I can adjust the rate of one lane, and it's independent of the modulation rate for any other lanes. Sometimes it's desirable to synchronize two lane or multiple lanes to have the same modulation rate. And let me pull this guy up. This is a good example of that. So for this preset, the lane 1 is using lane 1's modulation rate. Lane 2 is using lane 1's modulation rate. And same for lane 3. So lanes 2 and 3 are both synchronized to lane 1 modulation rate. When a lane is synchronized to a different lane's rate, the rate control becomes a phase offset control, so that you basically have the same modulation rate, but the phase of the modulation is shifted by up to 360 degrees. So you can do some tricky, clever things with that. What else? Let's see. And they all have independent depth, so you can have different depths, but the rate itself, the rate is synced. Independent shape, independent depth. What else? What else? What else? This is a parking lot down here. If I grab a delay and drag it into the parking lot, it'll disconnect everything. Dragging works better if you drag from the delay block out rather than from the input or outputs in. Anyway, it's just if you're into delays, you can craft all kinds of things with this. So anyway, yeah, like that. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just just a playground to play with. So help yourself. It's a freebie. I'll drop a link in the video. Always willing to accept presets. If anybody has any gumption to put together some presets. My hearing went out a few years ago. I don't have any hearing at all in my left ear, so I have no ability to actually hear stereo, which makes it very hard to dial in really great delay presets. So if anybody feels like dialing in a few great presets, and just ship them to me, and we'll include it in the next release. What else? Anything else? I think that's it. Little info button. Okay, anyway, first release. Find the bugs. Let me know how it's going for you. Thanks a bunch. Enjoy. Have fun.